Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm joined with very special guest, E, oh my God, EAFC content creator JCC. How are you, John?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's different now, isn't it? FIFA, EAFC, it's all changed. Yeah,
It takes some time getting used to it.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Every intro I do, I'm like, welcome back to FIFA, welcome back to EAFC. Yeah,
Obviously, you started FIFA like you always do, or EAFC if you want to be specific, playing pro clubs. You played with Jadon Sancho. How did that come together?
mate, that was so random. It was just launch. It was actually 2 weeks before the game actually came out, and I was just online, was playing some pro clubs, matched up against someone called Jadon Sancho. The pro looked like Jadon Sancho. The name was Sancho 10. And I was thinking, no one's got this game except maybe a few content creators like myself who were lucky to get it, and then like footballers because they have connections with EA. And then I was just playing on live stream. He's scoring against me. I started sort of like trolling and being like, if you actually Sancho, come run next to me. And he started running next to me. And then we joined into a few games together. And then Tammy Abraham jumped in and stuff. But it caused a huge stir for people who don't know because it was the night Manchester United were playing Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and he was not in the squad because he's fallen out with the management. So everyone on United Twitter was going crazy about it. Like, what is he doing playing video games when we're playing Munich?
What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on like how he's being treated at United, being outed by Eric Ten Hag?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's probably done something wrong, right? If you have to sort of back the management of the club. But it's a shame because he's such a talented player at Dortmund. Looked like he was going to kick on for England. So I saw yesterday he's going to end up like leaving in January, which I think is best for all parties, and hopefully he can get himself back on track.
I saw there was a like rumor that he was gonna go back to Dortmund, being in talks with the manager.
I think that would work for him. Yeah,
As well as playing pro clubs with Jadon Sancho, you've also played with Bazinga. Wasn't
yeah.
that during lockdown when you first started playing with each other?
I think it was like 4 years ago. So yeah, maybe. I think it was just before lockdown. Actually, it was the year before. I ended up meeting Ethan through pro clubs because of Bateson's tournament. So Bateson did a big creator tournament for pro clubs, I think 2019. And we had a mutual friend, Ben Glander, who used to work at Hashtag United. And Ben was like, "Oh, you should play with Ethan sometime." And I was like, "Oh yeah." And then I think I got given a captaincy of one of these teams. So it was like 15 people had a team, and I just was like, "Thank you. Ask Ethan if he wants to play." And he ended up playing, and yeah, it was a funny story actually, mate, because my ex-girlfriend's birthday and she had like 25 friends over, but that tournament was that night. And for me at the time, especially, I was even smaller YouTuber, and I was like, I can't miss this tournament. So I went upstairs to play it and had like a house party full of like 20, 30 friends, and I was just playing upstairs pro clubs with all them lot. But it ended up being a good decision because that series did well, and then yeah, kicked on.
Now you play pro clubs with Bez. Do you find it hard to play clubs with his schedule being around Sidemen shoots?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for us, it's like, even though obviously YouTube's my job and pro clubs is my job, it's a strange one, pro clubs, because it's not like Ultimate Team, right? It's not like I can load it up and just do it myself. You need other people to play. So I've always taken the stance of like not being pushy. Like if I call, like if I like all the boys I record with, if I message them and they can't play, it is what it is. I just have to wait, and sometimes it delays content, and it makes it difficult when you're basically relying on other people. And there's not a lot of other pro clubs content creators that are regularly making content that are either on PlayStation, like there's guys like Sam Tap Tap that I love and respect, but he's on Xbox, and until now we could never play together. So it's always like you're relying on people like that to come on. And Ethan's schedule is crazy. Like I've seen timetable and stuff. He showed me like what it looks like for them, just like a week, and it's just constant recording. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we don't get to play too much. Maybe once or twice a week. Now he's a dad, it's a bit easier because he's stuck in. So he's like, oh, kids asleep. What we doing?
You talked about the Sidemen schedule being busy. You were in one of the Sidemen videos, Sidemen haircut video. Was there any
Yeah.
nerves going into it, knowing like millions would be watching it?
Do you know what? I went into it quite naive. I didn't really think it would like think about it like that. The video ended up doing like, I can't actually give you the number, maybe like 10 million views or something. And yeah, to be honest, I've never really felt nervous in those situations. Like Ethan to me is just a mate. He invited me on it, and they're just normal lads, similar lads to me. And they're all very like really nice guys off camera. Like the set it's a proper production. Do you know what I mean? There's a team of people there, and so everyone makes you feel comfortable. And aside from the fact that they were literally butchering my hair, Jake, that was the only nerve. Like I was like, please don't ruin it. And I ended up drawing Simon on the wheel, and I was like, Simon's a good one to get. Simon's not going to be like Harry or or JJ, KSI, and then KSI decides to come up and help. And that at that moment, I was like, I'm going to leave here looking ridiculous.
Was there any knowing you were going to get Mini Minter or Simon before you were going on, or was it just
No,
random luck?
they just span a wheel. They literally just span a wheel. I thought I'd probably get Ethan just because we were friends, so there'd be a bit of chemistry, but like it wasn't set up like that at all. So it was just spun.
Obviously, KSI had his fight with Tommy Fury. How did you score that if you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it. I don't know. It's interesting. I think KSI did a lot better. To be honest, I'm sick of influencer boxing, and I thought, okay, hopefully this could be the last one. And I think like I tuned into the Dylan Dennis Logan one because I think how no matter how stupid that beef was, it was real. So I was like, you just want to see this. I want to see what's going on. And then the JJ Tommy one, I was like, you know what, he's going to get smacked about by Tommy, and he did so much better than I thought. But I don't think he's a boxer, and I'd like him to move on to other things because as someone who was a childhood fan of him, I'm personally just a little bit done with the whole boxing, and I don't know if that represents the majority or the minority. But for me, I'm just like it's sort of had its moment, and like I'm seeing now Ethan wants to box Joe Weller, and that might be, and I'm just like, when does this end? You know, because like none of them are boxers. Go and make your money. I get that, but I'm just bored of the whole thing.
And it's like they don't really need to box. They're already rich and successful themselves. So like adding
Yeah,
that over 250k or whatever it would be the purse, like it's not
yeah,
really going to be life changing.
I get that. I think like the challenge of it, I get as well. Like I boxed for years of my life. I did a lot of kickboxing. I understand the mental training and how much reward you get from that. But for me, it's like the it's just sort of peaked. Like I think probably the last thing to do is Jake KSI, and once that's done, I just want it to be like, can we just move on? Because, but I'm not personally into the whole misfits and TikTokers boxing, and I just don't really care. So that's just me. You know what I mean?
Obviously, you said you're not a fan of it, but if Misfits and Mams gave you a deal that was quite lucrative, would you go in a ring against maybe another FIFA YouTuber?
Someone asked me this. Potentially, potentially. You never know. Obviously, like money's money. We all need to make a living. But for me, like I kickboxed for about 6 years of my life. Competed a little bit, loved it. Like did a little bit of boxing on the side as well. Got a lot of that out my system from an actual side of like martial arts helped me a lot to grow as a person. But I sort of got like out of it what I wanted to, and I don't enjoy violence. I don't enjoy like fighting as much as I sort of used to. But you know, the email's there. I'd think about it.
Going back to your own YouTube channel and your own career, your pro clips video highly edited. Like what? How do you choose what clips go into the video and how many games do you play like per video?
Yeah, it takes a long time. Um, this is the first year ever that I've actually employed an editor, so it's taken a lot for me to step back and sort of delegate. And he's doing a great job. But obviously, like when when a product's like yours, and I've worked on it solely myself for so long, I'm really aware of how much I care about it and how I'm like, you know, the attention to detail. I'd say like an average Pro Clubs video, if it's a series, is like 3 or 4 games, maybe an hour into like probably half an episode. So yeah, maybe like 8 games is an episode, and I just cut the best bits from it and jump around between it.
Obviously, you said you got an editor for your YouTube channel. I'm guessing that's the same for your TikToks for the best builds.
Yeah, yeah. Again, was doing that sort of myself. Had a friend helping me out on the side a little bit here and there, and then this is the first time that I've sort of delegated it because the level I'm at on YouTube, I'm not going to progress anymore if I'm spending literally all day editing. You know, if you're editing TikToks and YouTube videos to a decent standard, that would take like a day, 2 days, and then you've got no time to record, no time to come up with ideas, no time to feature on things like this and to branch out into different aspects of this industry that's important. So I think it's an important step for me to take now.
Going back to your best builds videos and TikToks, how many games do you play with each build to know if they're a best build?
So I play the builds on FIFA haven't fluctuated too much over the years. There's little things that change. I'm lucky that actually my method of it is I play with 2 players, Billy and Crudo, who will cringe at me saying this on a podcast, but like for me, they're 2 of the best players in the world on clubs. Like they'd get in an 11, the best 11, and they've won everything on VFL, VPG. Like they're just so good. So we play together and we sort of work it out there. They do most of the work. They go, well, this is the meta because of this. And they play so much like Ultimate Team on the side that they know what would probably transfer over. And we sort of just play a couple of games and we go like, yeah. So this year, the tool build was the meta, and you could put a crossing archetype on a winger that was just cracked, and you could just cross the ball into this tall striker. and I've got a TikTok on it. I've got a video on it. I was scoring 12 goals a game. It was just like he would just get it, hold square, cross it in, and click circle from anywhere, edge of the box, outside the box, and it goes in. And he just worked those things out from years of experience on the game, and then also leaning on people like them who just have so much experience themselves.
Have you ever thought about branching into Ultimate Team as your content? As you said before, like playing pro clubs, you got to rely on other people to hop online.
Yeah, I think it's really oversaturated. I fell out of love with it as well. I used to really enjoy it back in the day of, silver Brazilian ultimate teams and like playing back in those days where it wasn't all about packs. It could have a different style of team. And then I think probably FIFA 15, 16, I've just sort of fell out of love with the game a bit in that sense. And I was really not keen on what I was seeing from EA back then of pushing packs onto everyone and just pushing packs constantly. And it was like, I wasn't sure about the aggressive marketing of it. I felt like it was just right towards kids. And for me, I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to create content around something that I'm not sure of the ethics on. And obviously, since I created videos, some of my videos back in the day on that subject were really popular. They resonated with a lot of people. EA, and I'm not saying this because of me, but since I created those videos and other people have been speaking about it for a long time as well, there's been changes that have come in from governments around the world around packs and loot boxes. And so I kind of feel like I was right to step away and be like, you know what, I wasn't sure.
Well, now you got 200K on on your YouTube channel, and your first video was uploaded 12 years ago, a Call of Duty sniper clip, and like FIFA 11 and 12 best goals. Did you think back then you'd be the go-to pro clubs guy within the FIFA community?
I never thought. Did I think? I think I was always driven enough to know I'd do something in YouTube. Like I wanted to do that. I wanted to train to be a pilot, and ended up like just completely dropping that to do this on the side, and end up taking up a couple of jobs that would like pay for everything, pay for the rent and everything as I was like sort of building it up. And I just knew if I kept at it that there was something there. And I think pro clubs for me, I remember uploading like back in 2013, FIFA 13, maybe pro clubs, FIFA 14 latest. And we would just upload like our best goals and they'd get like a couple hundred views. But I was like, there's no one doing this. There was a guy called Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee had like maybe 20K at the time on YouTube, and he was doing clubs. And he was one of the big reasons I found VFL, and which is competitive pro clubs. And that sort of helped grow my channel big time. So he's one of the real goats of it. He was doing it back in the day, but there was nobody really doing it. And I was just so passionate about it. And I loved playing pro clubs with my friends. And we had such a good time. And we'd record like the funniest moments. Like you said, you played in lockdown. You have some of the best moments gaming if you're a gamer on pro clubs, just playing with your mates. And I was like, there's something here. But I didn't really, it was kind of a combination of like passion and a drive of like, I think this could be something, but I also love doing it. So let's just give it a go.
I remember like back then it was only really like KSI uploading pro
Yeah.
clubs video, and that was just messing around with the sidemen or looks.
Yeah, 100%. He would just do drop-ins and go in goal and troll. I remember like a drop-ins video where he went in goal and just trolled people. Like he just would like act like a kid on the mic and miss every save, and everyone would like shout at him. Yeah.
Was he one of the people that inspired you to start making YouTube videos, or was it
Mate,
just?
100%, 100%. I was in his top 5 goals of the week twice. I loved it. Yeah, I used to watch him all the time. The leopard print bedding, Deji in the videos in that little room they had. Yeah, I
And
used to
did you?
love his videos, man. I used to love him. Big inspiration.
And the Q&A with his dad coming in.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It was so good. So good. Yeah.
It's a real feeling when you got to meet him on a Sidemen video.
Yeah, a little bit, like a little bit. I mean, I don't tend to get too starstruck. I just try to take people as people, and he's just a guy, who did the same thing as me, but to a much bigger level. And he's just, he's a normal lad. Like he's not, he doesn't do anything differently to us. But he's very nice guy. Came up, said hello. Do you know what I mean? No ego.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you don't meet a lot of people that have an ego like on YouTube. I've met like a few, met people in other aspects of life who, I'm sure you have, who are in important positions and they think they're more than they are. Whereas him, it's like straight in, comes says hello to everyone. No, no attitude. Yeah.
Well as the pro clubs, you played at Rangers Stadium, the Ibrox. What was that experience like?
Amazing. First stadium I played at, and it was incredible. It's such a historic stadium. We've got a lot of Rangers fans in my family as well. So like I knew like in a way. They'd be like, oh, it's like they mean a lot to them. Like they used to have season tickets and stuff. And you feel the history of a club like that when you're in the dressing room. And we always get the away dressing room. So we play a charity game every year, and it's Theo Baker England team versus a Scottish YouTube creator team. And it's amazing. Like you're in that dressing room, and it sounds crazy, but you're like washing your hands in the sink, and you're like, Messi's washed his hands in this sink. You know what I mean? You're like, Ronaldo's played here in the Champions League. You're like, R9 Ronaldo's played here. Zidane's played it. You're just there like, this is incredible. Like this is insane. And then yeah, playing on a big pitch. We didn't have any fans. There's rumours there might be fans next year, which could be incredible. We didn't have any fans in it for the first year. I think it was COVID-y. Second year, I don't know why they didn't. But it's like just an unbelievable feeling to look around and see just all those that stand and the history of it. It's amazing, amazing stadium.
Did it feel weird playing in like a stadium that big that was empty?
Kind of, but once you start playing, you do just focus on the game. Like you just focused on the game. I really want to play in front of a crowd because I want to know how the nerves. Like I play a lot of football. I play every week for a Saturday League team. I just want to know how it feels when you actually have a stadium full of people watching. Like the Sidemen charity game looks incredible, right? Like just would you be able to turn that off? Would you be able to focus just on the game? I'm not sure.
Would you ever play in a Sidemen charity game?
Oh mate, 100%. It'd be an honour. Yeah, of course, of course. It'd be amazing.
And with the magnitude they go now, it'll probably be out like Wembley or like the Emirates next.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. They are absolutely flying. They are flying. I mean, it's only going to get bigger, right? 60,000 at the West Ham Stadium.
Yeah, it sold out, wasn't it, in like an hour or two?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, like we were saying, the Sidemen charity games are going bigger and bigger each year. And
Yeah.
would you want to be a part of that?
Oh, it'd be an honour. It'd be an honour. But honestly, I feel like they're just getting so big that people like me aren't. We're not going to be asked. It's going to be celebrities. It's going to be Mr. Beasts of this world. But if like 75 of the biggest YouTubers in the world get injured, I'm there. So yeah.
Well, you're a Fulham fan in real life. What are your thoughts on their season this season?
Yeah, it's been a weird one, mate. We had a great season last year, finished a lot higher than I thought we would have. We finished ninth in the Prem, and we were looking like we could get into Europe at one point. We haven't kicked on really, which has been disappointing. I think we've shown a lack of ambition from the owners. Marco Silva, we've managed to keep hold of, but he doesn't seem too happy with the signings and direction we've gone in. Selling Mitrovic very kind of last minute in the window and not replacing him with a recognised goal scorer is disappointing. I think we'll be fine, but you're talking like 14th, max 13th maybe, which is a little bit uninspiring when you had a great season before and you finished in the top half. You want to kick on and do like a Villa or a Brighton and go, okay, can we step up and again, can we recruit 4 or 5 new really good players? But we haven't done that.
As well as Mitrovic leaving, João Palhinha was on the verge of leaving, going buying for a reported £70 million fee, and he signed a new 5-year deal. How important is he to the Fulham side?
He is easily in my Fulham XI of all time, and he's played for us for one season. Like he is my favourite player I think I've ever seen. I honestly like for Fulham. Like I can't express the love I have for him. I have a season ticket, I'm lucky to go every week. And just like the tackling, Jay, like you'll just have their winger running down the left. I can't explain it. And you'll just go, oh no, he's in trouble. And you just see him fly over and he's so old school. He never gets sent off. Every tackle is huge but fair. And he is more important to us than Mitrovic. And he was last season. And people who didn't watch a lot of us would go, oh, they're all Mitrovic. It's like, no, we're all Palhinha. Trust me, like he carries that team from midfield. If we keep him, great. We've signed him, on a bigger contract now. So if he goes to Bayern again, I go, look, mate, you're way too good to play for us. Go, but like hopefully we get a good fee, and we've now got time to be like, who are we replacing him with? Bayern came in really last minute, which sort of wound up Fulham a lot. I think they came in with like 2 days left of the window for our most important player. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember having that same feeling being a Leicester fan with like Ndidi in the 1920 season or like N'Golo Kante in the title winning season where they just win everything in midfield.
Yeah, you get that 100% then. Like seeing Kante, it's the same thing. It's like a different, but like a striker, I feel like you always get a Leicester or a Fulham every, 5 years, you get a striker come in, you're like, oh, this guy's great, he scores goals, it's amazing. But having that player who you're just so solid, like a Kante, I wouldn't put Palhinha in Kante's category just yet, because Kante's obviously been doing it a lot longer. But that is just, yeah, he's just so old school and I love it. I want him to stay forever and be captain, mate. That would be my ideal.
As well as Paulinho, Leno was a huge part of your season that season. I think he had like the best XG prevented or something.
Yeah, 100%. Such a good player for us. Like, maybe not quite what Arsenal need playing out, but for a club like Fulham, I mean, again, he's our second most important player right now. Like him, Mitrovic, and Polina last season, just such a good spine of the team with Ream in there as well. I mean, it's the reason we did so well. And I love him. Yeah, great player. Hopefully, he is one of those who isn't sought after too much by the big clubs because of his failure at Arsenal. I'm saying this from a Fulham fan's perspective, not his. And so hopefully we can hold on to him for a long time because he's comfortable in London and it's like one of those situations where he can go on to be a club legend.
When Fulham got promoted again in the 18-19 season, I believe it was, and they spent over 100 million, was it like a disappointment that you went down that year?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Just wasted money on players and recruitment with no plan. You know, kind of like a just a random go out. We've got this money. We're really excited about it. We've been in the championship for like 4 or 5 seasons. Let's just go and buy whatever, wherever. And I think that's still an issue with Fulham. We don't really seem to have a direction on our transfers. Some players we sign really work out. Willian, who would have thought it, right? Old, past it, whatever people were saying before, ends up being one of our players of the season. But you keep making signings like that. Raul Jimenez, it's not looking great. You know what I mean? Traore, I'm a big fan of his, but he spent most of the time injured. And you think, why has it not really worked out for him? Iwobi looking good, but again, it's not an inspiring young signing. It's just like a Premier League sort of guy who's been there around for a while. And I think, yeah, that 100 million season was very disappointing. We deserved to go down 100%.
Is that a path you would like Fulham to go down, like signing young, talented players that would develop and potentially sell on for huge fees?
Yeah, mate, 100%. I think it's the only way to have a rise for a club like Fulham, similar to Brighton. I don't think we can do a Villa and go and just consistently spend money. And Villa are a massive club, and obviously Newcastle been bought out, so they've got all this money to do to have genuine success for a club like Fulham. Like what that looks like for me is Premier League stability and then pushing for that European conference place. Like we have a history in Europe, that Europa League run. That's what we need to be pushing towards as a club, and we're not going to do that signing Traore. And I'm using his as an example. Like I think he could be a good player for us, but what he represents, you know, you need to do what Brighton are doing and go and find a 19-year-old who you can develop a little bit. And then, okay, Liverpool, Chelsea want him for 115 million, and then reinvest that money and kick on. You have to create that sort of model in today's game, unless you just want to do a Newcastle and just splash loads of money. But we don't have the facilities for that.
As, as well as football, do you watch any other sports in your spare time?
Mate, loads. Big golf fan these days. Big golf fan. I've been watching a little bit of the Rugby World Cup as well. And then UFC. I'm a big UFC fan. I've sort of fallen out of love with it a little bit recently. I think it's lost a little bit of its sparkle, but big UFC fan. Yeah.
Did that come from, obviously you were saying earlier you trained kickboxing. Did that
Yeah.
come from the kickboxing you got into the UFC?
It really did, yeah. So I used to watch kickboxers. That's where I started, like back in the day, watching other fighters to develop. And I was a big fan of Israel Adesanya. I was watching his fights in kickboxing before he came over to UFC. I was watching obviously Conor McGregor's rise back in the day. That was quite inspiring to watch. I'm not keen on him now, but it was an amazing story. I think one of the first ever fights I stayed up for was his fight versus Chad Mendes for the interim UFC featherweight belt, and that was insane. So yeah, I was a big fan of it, probably through my own martial arts training. Did a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and yeah, love it.
Would you say Izzy Adesanya's your favorite fighter now too when you watch the UFC?
Yeah, 100% he is. I think unfortunately he's gone down that route, not just because he's lost a few fights, but I think he's gone down that route of defending his belts rather than attacking fighters for them. And what I mean by that is he's had a few stale fights, whereas he used to just come in and just destroy people. And I think he's done that thing of, I'm going to go into these fights not to lose the belt, right? And then eventually it's got him caught with Strickland. And that's my opinion on him. I think he's better when he's free in there. Like take the chains off. Don't think about, I've got to defend this belt. Just go in and do your thing as the style bender, as his name is. But I'd say he's definitely one of my favorite fighters right now. I've got a lot of, I really like Volkanovski stepping up last minute to fight Islam. I think I just really respect that. Going up in weight. There's a lot of fighters I'm a big fan of at the moment.
How do you see that fight going with Islam Makhachev versus Volkanovski?
I just think Islam is a little bit too big, and that's probably the difference. I think Volkanovski's got more skills. I think if Volkanovski was naturally 10, 15 pounds heavier, he would take that. I really hope he does it, but I think Islam is just too trained, he's too switched on to get caught by anything under Khabib from Volk, especially on short notice. I think it'll be a decision win again for Islam.
Do you think Volk is the pound for pound great, or is it someone like Islam or John Jones?
I think John Jones. John Jones, yeah, I think John Jones because people want to tarnish him with this picogram of steroids and all this, but for me, probably half the guys he fought were on steroids back in the day anyway, and the guy was the youngest UFC champion, destroying legends, destroying fighters. Like again, he's kind of the last few fights had a little bit of what I was saying about Izzy of like going in there and being safe. Obviously he's had some big performances, but he got some stick for like sort of just defending. But that early rise of John Jones, it was like he's going in there to destroy everyone he's against, and he was doing it.
Well, in the fight against Cyril Gane in March, he went in there and made him look like a kid.
Yeah, just absolute levels to the game, isn't there? Like he stepped up in weight, and I think there wasn't a part of him that thought I could lose this fight. I think he just looked at Cyril Gane and went, "I could beat you." I beat Prime DC when he was on Bender weekend Benders going out. Like I can take Cyril Gane off the sofa realistically.
Well, John Jones fighting in November against Stipe Miocic. Do you think
Yeah,
he gets another title
I
defense?
think I think he gets a win. I think Stipe's a great fighter, but John Jones has physical advantages against him with that reach, and I don't think Stipe brings anything he's not fought against. Stipe's like a very durable, does all the basics to an incredibly high level fighter with a little bit of power in that right hand. And I just think like if you look at John Jones' resume, you're like he's fought that 10 times. Has Stipe ever fought whatever John Jones is? I don't think so.
I've got two last questions finish for you.
Sure.
What has been your favorite FIFA to play clubs on?
Favorite FIFA. So I won't go down like the old route because I think like 12 and 13 for me really nostalgic and all that. I'd probably say FIFA 17, FIFA 18, FIFA 17 and FIFA 18. I really enjoyed that. It was when I was starting to play competitive clubs properly. The channel was on the rise. I really enjoyed the gameplay. I think on FIFA 17, excuse me if I'm wrong, they all tend to like slightly blend into one for me. But I think FIFA 17 is probably my favorite FIFA. Other than that, it'd be like FIFA 13. Yeah.
And what is your favorite position to play in clubs?
Oh man, you gotta play striker because as well, we play. If I play in striker, I can just put the controller down, wait for the ball to come up. I'm like, oh, here we go. I just let everyone else do all the work. If I'm playing 11v11 pro clubs, I like playing left wing. I feel like it's a good. You get a little bit more ball, a little bit more time than striker, and I like showing off some of the dribbling.
Well, John, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you go.
Mate, no, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on. Really, really appreciate it. So yeah, cheers, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.